In the kingdom of Lunamere, the moon was more than a silent presence in the sky. For generations, it had been a symbol of balance, believed to reflect the harmony or unrest of the land below. When the moon shone bright and steady, the people slept peacefully. When it dimmed behind restless clouds, they whispered of imbalance within the kingdom. The royal family of Lunamere stood at the heart of this belief. The king had two daughters, born years apart yet raised under the same roof, the same sky, and the same expectations. Still, from an early age, the sisters could not have been more different. The elder sister, Celine, grew into confidence quickly. She was bold, expressive, and fiercely competitive. From riding through the fields to standing before the court, she carried herself as though leadership were something she naturally deserved. Praise followed her often, and she welcomed it eagerly, believing recognition was proof of worth. The younger sister, Ilara, lived quietly by comparison. She observed more than she spoke, and listened more than she demanded. While Celine sought attention, Ilara sought understanding. She spent her time among scholars, farmers, and servants, learning the rhythms of the kingdom from those who lived it daily. For many years, the balance between them seemed harmless. Celine shone brightly, admired for her presence and ambition. Ilara remained unnoticed by most, content with her quiet role. The king loved both daughters equally, though he guided them differently, hoping time would shape their strengths. But time does not always bring balance. As the sisters grew older, the kingdom began to notice Ilara. Her thoughtful suggestions resolved disputes that had lingered for years. Her patience calmed tensions Celine's assertiveness could not. Slowly, the court began to seek Ilara's counsel, not because she demanded it, but because it worked. Celine noticed the shift immediately. What began as mild irritation soon became persistent unease. Each compliment Ilara received felt like something stolen. Each success seemed to dim Celine's own reflection. Though Celine continued to excel, the admiration she once enjoyed no longer felt complete. Under the moonlight, Celine watched her sister from palace balconies and shadowed halls, measuring herself constantly, comparing endlessly. Jealousy did not arrive suddenly. It grew quietly, fed by unspoken thoughts and unchallenged pride. Celine told herself she only wanted fairness. She believed she had worked harder, stood taller, spoken louder. Yet the more she tried to reclaim attention, the further it drifted away. Meanwhile, Ilara remained unaware of the storm forming around her. She continued to serve the kingdom with humility, unaware that her quiet strength was becoming the source of her sister's unrest. Above them both, the moon watched, and its light began to waver. As the moon's glow dimmed night after night, unrest spread quietly through Lunamere, unseen by most. Celine's jealousy had begun to shape her thoughts, guiding her actions in ways she barely recognized. What troubled her most was not Ilara's success, but the realization that it came effortlessly. Ilara did not compete, she did not seek praise, yet respect followed her naturally. Celine, who had spent years striving for admiration, felt as though she were losing a contest she never agreed to enter. Isolation deepened Celine's resentment. A palace attendant noticed the change. This figure, skilled in reading emotions and exploiting silence, offered comfort disguised as concern. Soft words were spoken of injustice and imbalance, of destinies unfairly diverted. The attendant whispered of ancient forces that could restore what Celine believed was rightfully hers. Desperation clouded reason. One moonlit night, Celine followed the attendant beyond the palace walls to a forgotten shrine, hidden beneath overgrown stone and fading symbols. There lived a woman untouched by loyalty or malice, known only as a keeper of old magic. She listened without judgment, unmoved by Celine's anger or ambition. The sorceress offered no promises of victory, only a choice. A charm was presented, designed not to destroy Ilara, but to cloud her clarity. It would dull her insight, weaken her confidence, and cause others to doubt her wisdom. The effect would not last forever, but long enough for Celine to reclaim favor and influence. The cost was subtle. Magic fed on intention, not action alone. Celine accepted. Soon after, changes appeared. Ilara began to hesitate where she once spoke confidently. Small errors surfaced, barely noticeable at first. Whispers crept through the court. Doubt replaced trust. Celine watched as admiration slowly returned to her, carried on the very shadows she had created. Yet peace did not follow. Victory gained through deception felt hollow. Each smile Celine received carried an unspoken question. Each triumph tasted of fear rather than pride. Sleep eluded her, and the moon's reflection in her chamber window seemed restless, fractured. Ilara, however, sensed the shift immediately. The change was not in her mind, but in the air itself. The moonlight felt heavy, unsettled. Instead of confronting Celine, Ilara chose patience. She observed carefully, listening to whispers, noting patterns, waiting for clarity. Rather than fighting the illusion placed upon her, Ilara allowed it to exist. She learned, and she prepared. As Celine rose in influence, she grew more alone. Power gained without trust isolated her from those she once sought to impress. The charm continued its work, but its foundation weakened. Magic born of jealousy cannot endure awareness. The moon climbed higher each night, growing brighter, and truth waited for the right moment to rise. The night of revelation arrived beneath a full and unwavering moon. The court gathered as it always had, unaware that the balance of Lunamere stood at a turning point. Ilara stepped forward calmly, her presence steady and unshaken. The uncertainty that had clouded her actions faded as though it had never existed. She did not accuse, she explained. Ilara spoke of the mistakes she had allowed others to see, not as failures, but as choices. She revealed how she had recognized the disturbance in the kingdom's harmony and allowed events to unfold, trusting that truth would expose itself without force. The charm unraveled quietly. Magic sustained by jealousy could not survive honesty. Celine felt the weight of her actions fully then. The admiration she had regained vanished, replaced not by shame, but understanding. For the first time, she saw her sister not as a rival, but as a mirror reflecting her own insecurity. Jealousy had not stolen Celine's future, it had obscured her vision. Celine apologized without expectation. She acknowledged the resentment she had nurtured and the harm it had caused, not only to Ilara, but to herself and the kingdom. The king did not condemn her. Instead, he reminded the court that leadership was not a crown to be claimed, but a responsibility shared. Strength multiplied through cooperation, not competition. Celine stepped back willingly, not in defeat, but in clarity. Ilara stepped forward without triumph, understanding that leadership was not about being chosen over another, but chosen alongside them. Together, the sisters redefined balance in Lunamere. The kingdom healed as trust returned. Decisions were made with care. The story of jealousy beneath the moonlight was not erased, but remembered as a lesson, taught to future generations not as warning alone, but as guidance. Under the steady glow of the moon, Lunamere found harmony once more, and the sisters, no longer divided by comparison, learned that true strength is revealed not in rivalry, but in shared purpose.